for items reserved. Roll call.
Jill Watson, Vice President.
Michelle Reed Barberby, President.
Tony Fode, Treasurer.
Michael Morley.
Alright, do we have, sorry, so Rebecca, do you have any
We have any minutes. We don't have any minutes to approve tonight, right? I didn't find any.
Okay. Okay, moving on to reports. Danny, do you want to give quick updates on reports from Playground and Jim?
Yeah, nothing to report on Playground other than it's still awesome and kids are using it constantly. But the gym is pretty much, I don't want to say done, but it is done for usage. There are little things now that we have a community credit card that we can actually get that need to go in there, like signage, wipe down warning signs, things like that, reminders. There are some little fixes, things that we weren't able to accomplish, but other than that, the equipment in there, if anyone's not yet used it, you should get in there and test it out. I've been using the stair stepper a little bit myself, which is a really fun cardio piece. And all the strength equipment and all of that is top notch. And I'm just really happy with the outcome. We had our grand opening, a couple weeks back, and that was a big success. Everybody was very excited. We had a great turnout. There was maybe at least 30 people in total that showed up. It was a blast because we did a complete walkthrough, and it was like a master class with 2 professional fitness trainers explaining each piece of equipment. To supplement that, we are going to try and record some very short but thorough videos of each piece that we can sort of collect on our neighborhood YouTube channel and also in a folder that people can access as a resource. So if there's any hesitation or worry about using a piece of equipment you're unfamiliar with, these videos should be useful because it'll be of the exact piece in our fitness center. And we launched also with this beautiful monogram sign. So if people are wondering where that has gone, it is getting powder coated, which was part of the cost of its original creation. But there was a delay in getting that part done. It will be back and up there, and again, our centerpiece of the place. And so I'm happy with the outcome of the gym. I think everybody else is too. So I'll leave it there.
Thank you.
Thanks, Danny.
Thank you, Dan.
Okay.
Okay, Margaret, do you want to, Rebecca, sorry. Do you want to get your manager's report, please?
That's my grandmother's name. Well, what's to say? The gate at Silver Wolf is the top of my priority for repairs right now. It feels kind of like they gave up on it. I get emails every day telling me that the ISP is not connected, the router needs to be replaced, this, that, and the other. All that stuff's been done, but I still get the emails. And the last I would communicate with them on the phone after they told me it was fixed and it wasn't, I put this in my weekly thing. Their guy came out to finish the job, but it's still not right. And nobody's surprised, so I'm just keeping the emails as evidence of their failure. And then hopefully when we make the move to transition, there will be no argument about the breach of contract, because you can't have a service that doesn't serve. Other than that, just currently working on getting the irrigation going. The pump did prime just now, and so he's out there making that repair. Yes! And we're just struggling to stay on top of everything that comes up. Name something. I mean, seriously, like now's the time to let me know. I'm sure there's problems everywhere, but actually today I got an email from a lady who said, "Why did you take appears that she got billed for 3 months and it was never pulled out. So we just sent her an email after Mr. Fode figured out that's what made sense. I wrote her back and said, well, that was a payment for the last 3 months. So hopefully it actually turns out that that is what it was.
I got that same notification.
Yeah, I saw yours, and,
Yeah.
and I think that might be similar, I tried to figure it out, but I think that's a call that there's verbiage on there that I didn't recognize for how they identified each of those transactions. I don't know what a black payment is, blackout payment, did you see that?
Yeah, I just saw a transaction on the site, and again, just today, I left, so I didn't know.
It's just cause you're cute, but that's something the bookkeeper will have to explain, she was already gone when I heard it, so, sorry.
You're good, no stress, we'll figure it out.
But y'all know where to find me, I'm sure you could catch up.
Tony, you wanna do that?
Yeah, sure. Good news is that we got a draft financials for January. It's just about the past hour. There's several disputes on it, and it's really, doesn't make really sense to summarize it at this point. Some disputes related to castle transition over that Advantage is trying to work through. So she'd like to sit down with Larry and I, walk us through the new presentation of the financials, and hopefully, once we get this dispute thing settled out, we'll be getting our financials.
Yeah.
I don't understand these at all. No, I don't get this point, I don't understand why we have disputes in 1, 2, 3, 4 different accounts. That seems like our operating account is way low than it was months ago, I don't understand that. Well, I think our inflow is down, we're still getting.
No, we have money in the bank, in fact, we have enough money in the bank that I need to go, that we're questioning if there could possibly be that much money in the bank.
The dispute,
I'm not too sure.
as I understand it, Michael, Tony, correct me if I'm wrong, the reason it says dispute is because it needs to be reconciled, we're disputing whether these balances are accurate, is that correct?
How come these disputes came up, because of the transition?
Yes.
Or
Correct.
At this point, because before they left, I think the balance, the last one was very low, but the month before.
There's about 30 minutes left, and I think this
It was like 100 sold the month before, so I don't know what happened to that money.
this is supposed to be the one we transferred over to set up a new operating account that was, they bounced the check.
Yeah.
I understand, $10,000 on a golf cart, what does this mean?
That's the advertising guide with the golf cart with one, and it's under a loan. But
That's
yeah,
from way back
that's-
from Friend days.
I think that's all they are.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying, you got an operating account with over $100,000 in November, then we
Well-
got around 30. Okay, finish please. Okay, now I'm looking at 48. I think the people who put the money in would like to know what happened to the money in the operating account.
well, the good news is there's 200, between the two, we have 2 operating accounts. Between the two of them, it's over $300,000.
Where's the other,
And it's, excuse me,
where's the other?
it's in the bank statement, that quote.
What you're looking at is the balance
This
sheet.
is March, this is correct, this is as of today, not as of January 15th.
January's not accurate, this is not accurate.
This is from,
Well,
this is
leave
from.
it.
Well, and the balance might be,
Maybe.
it could be accurate, but I pulled the balance this morning. So, we have about $500,000 in reserve, that's after taking $100,000, well, that's before we took $100,000 out, I think, to cover the 2 expenses. Because $100 doesn't transfer between account and reserve, and you can see that against something. There's another $78,000 that.
I don't have that piece of paper, you don't know what that is.
Well, okay.
It's easy to-
He's the treasurer, he's the treasurer.
It's not-
Right, he pulled this
I
thing.
pulled this today from my computer. And there's another $78,000, which is the sweep account, apparently when our balance hits 250, or close to 250 for insurance purposes, they sweep out the overage into another account for us. So there's an additional $78,000, so we're well, if this is all accurate, we're sitting at about $380,000, right?
I'm more comfortable that this kind of matches that.
Well, yeah,
At this point, it doesn't.
correct, and then,
Did you ever find out as treasurer why reports like this?
the board, like,
Why you not have access?
It would be, What it had to do with the dispute, they finally issued something for us today, that's in draft form, but it's not 100% accurate. So we got them literally.
Right, so Larry and Tony are gonna meet.
I believe in the presentation, they said the board was gonna be up at all times, we have to look at financials, and see the operating account section. That is not happening. Is there a reason? That's
Well,
what she said, that's what I did.
No, well, they have to be posted by the management to get access to.
Okay.
Yes, I can see the bank accounts at all times. And I check it usually every day. The only other thing I would add from a financial perspective is that Vantage has been doing a pretty good job in at least addressing the past dues that seem to be fluctuating left and right. And I have questions about that number in the financials as well, because today, it's not, I think people in concept of re-aging the receivable. I think when they transfer things over, some of the balances past due were re-aged, so they were moved back in the day, but weren't showing properly past due as yet. So I'm trying to rectify that. But that aside, there's about 6 names that make up 56% of the, right now, which I estimated $54,000 in past dues. So they've done a good job of collecting 3 or 4 large accounts. We're putting them on payment plans and actually collecting the dollars, and they're still, that letters are being issued, the process is moving forward to get folks to pay. There's another 25 or so that are around a little over between $1,000 and $2,000. So a lot of that's probably just partially, could be still from the transition. Yeah, things are moving in the right direction. And if they don't, I guess we're not getting satisfaction from the letters we're sending, then.
Yeah, can I add something on that?
Yeah.
The way Advantage does their regular bookkeeping administration, people who don't pay by the 10th will get a letter. And those letters actually started going out already, and people were surprised to find that they thought they were being targeted. But that's an ordinary thing. It's just to let you know that if you're not paid by the 30th, then you're gonna start accruing interest and we're gonna pay attention, and you're in danger, going into the attorney's office if you leave it for 3 months. Because some of these accounts are like, it took a couple of years to get where they are. And the people that I speak to have never been contacted. So hopefully just reminding people to pay is gonna go a long way, because nobody likes those letters.
And to the extent that they're not responding to the letters after the appropriate legal time period passes, we'll look to take liens on the properties, which is the only action, the next action we can take.
That way at least you can collect when they sell.
Yeah.
The 6 people who are at 65%, you said?
56%.
And they gotten letters within the last 2 weeks or so.
Yeah, they got certified letters.
Is anybody responding to those 6 people?
Actually, I think she's in communication with the 2 we talked to, she being Chastity. And 2 of them went on to payment plans, those are the ones I talked to. And I don't know about the other, I don't know about.
I don't know the details behind some of these things, we just printed out, we did some work, she printed out a summary of all the
We
past
targeted
dues.
the top 12.
And so, just took a look at this, and so the top six,
Client delinquencies went to the lawyer before the managed. We don't need update on that. What's going on?
Actually, we couldn't find any that were in the hands of the lawyer. We talked to your regular attorney, unless they went to somebody else.
That's what we were told, at least I was told.
Yeah.
Is
They
the-
didn't have
is the payment plan just a reduction in their current dues? What's the?
No, it's, if they owe 10 grand, they're making, call it $1,000 a month for that, in addition to the regular.
In
Yeah.
addition.
Yeah,
Okay.
addition
I
to
thought it
the
was just a
normal.
reduction or whatever. they
No,
got.
no,
It's just-
No.
So.
No,
that's fine.
their past due would be.
Thank you.
Okay, that's pretty much all I have.
Okay, moving on to new business, violations, happy to report the entire property has been inspected. By the inspection team, there were 62 violation notices issued. 43 dirty roofs, 8 dirty driveways, 10 dirty houses, 1 visible shed. The current compliance policy provides 30 days to correct violation before the property is subject to a reinspection. If the violation exists after the 30 days, the homeowners will be sent a 14-day fine notice. And that's when the, funding committee will get involved at that point.
Do we have a finance committee ready to go?
Yep.
Awesome.
Becky is the chair of that
Get
How
them
about-
ready.
She is looking to add some more people, I think there's only 3 of them on that committee, so she is looking for more people. To join that committee if anybody is interested in that.
How about,
Are we doing anything with, go ahead,
how about, boats and trailers? They didn't file violations even though some wasn't next to them?
We did write,
Yeah, this is,
I didn't hear,
right, I didn't write every single
Okay,
thing, I was doing the
I thought there was
majority
a
of what jumped out, yes, there was 62 violations.
you think
No,
included there was the, boats and trailers?
yes, and they went out before were putting them in the computer, this came out of the Engara system, or the Engage system. We made like 5 of them by hand before that. There's a few on Silver Wolf. There's a trailer with a cover on it, we're not sure what it was, but, you know, we don't know what's underneath, he got a letter. We're watching them, I've actually got those in the notebook.
Okay.
They get
As long as they're
re-inspected on the
taking
21st.
steps to rectify it, because it's sad to see the good people, the 95% of this community who live by the rules, clean their roofs, keep their cars off the grass, and keep their cars out of the street, keep their boats in the marina and the trailers in someplace. And the 5% who just ignore it and nothing happens to them, which is aggravating to people, at least in my opinion.
Well, I get a lot of phone calls about people parking on the street after dark, a lot.
I think that's gonna be my question, is
I get pictures, I get a lot of phone calls, and here's the enforcement difficulty on that. Our rules say we can tow them, but we don't have a tow company on contract, which we have to post, we have to get a sign posted that says, if your car disappears, you've got to call cuffs or whatever. So the only other enforcement we have is to find them, and our current compliance system allows them 30 days to correct that. So I'd like to suggest changing it so that we can have a no cure period on certain violations. And that would be one, you park on the road, you get a ticket, it's gonna cost you money.
That needs to be looked into to see what we can do.
Yeah.
All right, unanimous consent, so we have 3 unanimous consents
Yes.
to ratify. Okay, the first one is, to use the proceeds from the sale of the used gym equipment to offset all or part of the cost to replace, the TV here in the social room. So the board, in February, signed unanimous consent, so I will make the motion to ratify that consent.
Second,
All in favor?
aye. So on, okay, motion carries.
All right, the second was, to increase our line of credit with Southgate Bank from $75,000 to $200,000. This was signed back in January with the purpose being to have the, funds available for the security project, which we'll get into in a little bit. And I will, motion to ratify that consent.
All in favor?
I,
Can I ask you a question about
No, yeah, go for it.
that? So we don't have, increasing line of credit is fine. How do we pay it back? We don't have it in the operating budget to, the animal's paying back loans.
Do we want to talk about that one today? Yeah.
Yeah,
Can we put a hold on that for it's ADI, so
I'm just
it'll,
curious. how
Yeah,
it's
so everything's gonna go to the finance committee first, which
Except for raising line of credit.
but, we had talked about that in the meeting several times, and in several past meetings, to raise the line of credit to offset, to start up the project. That was
That's fine, I just wanna know how we're gonna pay back. I mean, I'm not trying to cause problems.
I guess it'd be a budget
How we're
item,
gonna pay back.
I guess it'd be a budget item for next year. Depends upon when we use the line of credit, doesn't it?
That's correct.
all right, let's bring that up again, when we get down to ATI. And the last one was, decided this evening, unanimous consent for the Delaware Company. $3,400 for the, is it sewer line repair?
Yeah.
For the sewer line repair out of the clubhouse. For the pump line, yeah. So I will motion to ratify the unanimous consent.
All in favor?
I need a second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, discussion. Homeowner refusal to pay for damage. Michael, you want to talk about that a little bit?
Well-
You cannot mention the person's name.
A certain individual who owns a large vehicle, who is a resident here. Apparently backed out of the garage or driveway, not the garage, the driveway onto somebody else's property, which was adjacent, causing a crack in a main line near where the sprinkler turn valves and everybody's yards are. There's valves that come on, pipe to go in the valve. It was repaired once by that homeowner's expense. It wasn't that expensive, a couple $100, so it didn't work, the repair didn't work, so a more major repair, or more expensive repair had to be undertaken. And that bill was then sent to the HOA. And apparently, what I've been told by the HOA is that the individual, the homeowner, refuses to pay that bill, even though the act was caused by his vehicle. But I have not read the letter, why he's not paying, so I don't know why he's not paying. Excuse me.
It was a
That
vehicle,
homeowner not paying.
it was a vehicle that was backed out, a vehicle that was backed
An
out.
RV,
An RV that was backed
a
out.
large
Large.
Hollywood studio RV. Way above the weight.
So it, so
Shouldn't have
it.
been here in the first place.
I think
Be
we
here,
allow
it's really hard
Was it
overnight.
overnight?
I think we allow people to bring them, they store some of the place, they can bring them, load them and get them ready to go for it, and then come back and unload them. Any size RV, I don't think we've ever had a problem.
Yeah.
He does not keep it there, no, that's not.
So the damage was to another homeowner's home, or was damage to common area property as well?
That's a good question. It would be where if everybody has their boxes, probably in the county swale area. So that's only about 2-3 feet off the main road. So that is, county right away, I guess, and all that swale area. That's, I don't think it's common area because it's not like where some of the places have like trees and things like that, on the sidewalk. No, this is front yard, no curb, no nothing, lawn.
So do we know, okay, if it was on your property and you did the damage yourself on that property, who would be responsible?
Me,
for the-
if I took my vehicle and parked it on the side of the road and went over those boxes and cracked something inside, it would be my fault, I would think, logically.
And so if I remember correctly, the 800 and change
That would bill it.
bill, I
That
think,
would
I
bill it.
think if I remember, 1,800?
Yeah,
Oh, okay,
it's
then I'm
18.
thinking of something different, okay.
The size of it.
Did we put it, who paid it, or has it not been paid?
The association paid it,
And why did the association pay it?
because the repair was made by Doug,
That would be-
on Green Pastures or whatever. And at the time, I didn't know that, in fact, I'm not even sure that I approved it. It might have been in that batch from the very beginning. But I didn't understand what the bill was until he told me what to expect. And then we saw it was paid already.
If we had not paid it at the association, would there have been an interruption of service on any other
No.
homeowners?
Yes, if you didn't pay, if it hadn't got fixed, other homeowners wouldn't have irrigation.
No, it's paid after the fact, it was already fixed.
Yeah, but I think
It's
she's
already
trying to determine if it's used by more than one person.
It was not the interruption, it was paid after expense.
Right, so no, but my thought process was if it was only going to impact the homeowners, then it becomes a dispute between them and the vendor should have sent the invoice accordingly, but I understand now that
I think
if
it's.
the repair hadn't been made, then it would have affected more unrelated properties, so.
That's my understanding.
So what are our
It's
thoughts?
kind of similar situation, like if you were planting a tree in your yard, and you had somebody come in with a backhoe and went down to the main pipe in your yard that supplies continuously water to other places, okay, and that's what it is, it would be your fault.
Is
So-
the argument that he fixed it once,
I don't know
now it
how
happened again,
No.
or they fixed it once before? Put a Band-Aid on it essentially,
Do
and
we know the reason why?
Weren't there two problems? One was the cleanup valve for the property. One, I think, was the community's irrigation system. I think there were two
It was
things that
two,
were damaged. I don't know the specifics about what was damaged and what was paid for, but I think two things were damaged.
So what do the bylaws say?
I personally think there's precedent for this. The precedent was at the gate, with new homeowners at Summerville, when they had to get connected with sewer in the city, whatever, that type of thing. And there was some damage done to the main sprinkler line, and irrigation sewer line, they paid for it.
Right,
It's
They
the same,
didn't
it's the same
They
thing.
didn't argue about it, they paid it, they did what they're supposed to do, and I'm proud of that, what they did. So I think there's.
it's the same.
It's the same thing, so what do the bylaws say as far as is it billed to their account just like dues are, or?
I couldn't find the chapter that you're thinking of, but I've seen it in all the ones I've ever read, which say, if you damage common property, then you're responsible to pay for it. And the only copy I have of your documents are like this, and they're really hard to read. So I'd love to try to find that, but
I think the recourse at this point, if it's not gonna pay the bills, put it in the hands of the lawyer, or it's a letter saying, you need to pay it, if not, your consequence, that's what you're asking, is it's added to their deficiency, or possibly a lien, which eventually if they sell the house, will affect them.
what's the reason that they don't wanna pay it?
They don't feel they're at fault, how would they not be
I
at
guess
fault?
that's right.
I was trying to find the
see.
letter, I seem to remember saying that you think it's partially a pre-existing situation.
And there's the.
What was the pre-existing
It's hard to
situation,
describe
the Band-Aid that we're
Yeah.
talking about?
And probably this was fixed once before, and then
What was the pre-existing situation that we knew that this specific area already had a problem with it, and now an RV was backed on it, and now that problem has just escalated to something larger than what it was? What-
it was.
So I don't understand the
It was fixed
concept.
once before, and it just didn't take, or it was just vulnerable.
I guess if I back out my driveway and hit somebody's mailbox, I'm paying for the mailbox. If I back out my driveway and hit somebody's car, I'm paying for the car. I don't understand what we're arguing here. The damage was done by RV, by that individual, and paid for it, let's move on. It's just, all the rest is,
I agree.
if that's the story, I mean.
So make a motion that we'll reach out one more time, or Rebecca reach out one more time. And if she doesn't get anywhere with the homeowner, then we refer to the attorney and the attorney
Yeah.
will handle it.
Yeah, I'll put the motion on the floor that is after a second attempt by property management to collect payment, is unsuccessful, then the matter will be turned over to our attorney.
And the board is in agreement that,
Yeah. So that's the motion on the floor. Do we have a
I'll
second?
second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, perfect. Old business, Greg talked about the gym and playground.
Can I interject something there? Danny, thank you very much, great job.
Man, Alexa.
You've done a very good job, so thank you very much.
And Robin.
Thanks.
Okay, moving on to in here. We've had major problems with it here. Savannah, give us a short synopsis of how long we've been dealing with this, and then now that they're trying to force us to buy $20,000.
Yeah, it's been a 2 year, still it's short, it's been 2 years. Long story short, all documentation has been there, it's all emails. Becca has them, they've been forwarded on.
To Deborah, correct?
To Deborah, right, and, I would say for the last 22 plus days, Vera has been out of service.
Since February 12th.
February 12th, so more than 20.
Thank you.
More than 22 days, more than 22 a month. Vera's been out of service. I get the same emails that Rebecca does, so whether it's an ISP issue, whatever that they're like, whatever they're claiming it is, whether it's the main gates or the wall, you guys can see that the gates have been opened sporadically on a daily basis. So we're not getting what we paid for on top of the issues that we've already had in the last couple of years. So I am, from what I'm understanding, that we have now an out, we needed a 30-day out, that we have that from just the previous 30 days that we've had no service on top of all the information that I've already sent on over the previous 2 years. So, yeah, we're in the process of, I think that's getting looked over right now by Deborah, right?
Yes.
Okay, so it's
She's
getting,
trying to craft a letter.
okay. So yeah, we're at the end of the stage, trying to craft a letter to send it to Vera to give them a 30-day notice to get out, and also try to have very little to no interruption with the transition to ATI, who we decided to move forward with the previous meeting. So we have a meeting with ATI this Thursday. They're going to be moving back to, again, survey the properties, because it's been over a year. I think it's been a year and a half now, close to 2 years since we left ATI on the back burner, kind of on hold, which they've been pretty graceful and working with us this entire time, kind of keeping the same pricing that we have, proposal from them for that period of time. So they'll be coming by Thursday. Rebecca and I will be meeting with them and surveying the property just to kind of finalize order everything again, make sure we got all the ducks in a row. And hopefully, the next 30 or 60 days, hopefully have a transition period to where we can switch and leave them in our rearview mirror and move forward with something new. That's it.
Guys, apparently, I don't know if y'all got it, but I saw an email that says, Vera understands that I have a problem here, that they're not charging us, is that true for the time?
Oh, I didn't see that, but
That was sent for
you
all
see
their
that?
customers for the nationwide
Yeah, I think it was,
outage. They sent an email saying
that would be applicable to us,
Yes.
that means like, if we pay money.
I'll send it to you, I'll send it to you.
Prorated or something like that. It says
the only monthly service I've seen from them is in the $6,000 range, and I haven't seen that bill for this month, so.
I have not seen improvement.
Right.
But we should keep an eye on that to see if the truth of the words is not gonna pay. So we get the 30-day notice of all this is going like that.
Exactly.
So are we in a position to send a cancellation notice, or where do we
Yeah,
stand?
that depends upon how's it gonna work, if it's wise, how much time they need, et cetera.
So I did get that back from Brett from AT&I. As far as the transition phase, we gave them a timeline of the 1st of May to have enough time period for the 30-day notice, and then a 30 days for them to kind of come in and start that transition with the proposal and everything. And then there's a question as far as the underground wiring and all that, what Vera has, they need to replace that. The only things that we do not own within Vera are the kiosks, the 3 kiosks. So when you drive up, it's those kiosks with the lens on them. And we have 3 of them. And then the license plate cameras, which they're outdated anyway, they don't operate very well. So those are the only things that Vera owns. As far as that goes, everything else is ours. The clubhouse and the other external cameras are all property of ours.
By the way, Silvano, he asked for a database, I got that.
Okay, perfect. So that was one other thing that they were waiting on in order to meet that deadline, was a database for the entire community. So, which we probably haven't had, Vera probably hasn't had an updated database, I don't know how long. But that would at least allow us to, when we were referencing the past dues, residents with past dues, allow us to actually have a database to where we can put something in there to where we can turn things off, access the clubhouse if we need to, further down the road, if that's a violation of, we're not paying dues and, we don't get access to the clubhouse. So we have the ability to shut that off down the road. Just something to keep in mind as well, or enforcing, I guess, but yeah, so they should have it. Did you already send it to them?
Okay.
Okay, so imagine we can send that tomorrow. We're meeting with him on Thursday to walk through the property, hopefully answer any questions, kind of finalize anything from that point. And kind of get that ball rolling, so. Cool. Any other questions or?
So are we good to send a notice or not?
We can make a motion.
But before a motion is made, are we?
We're confident that May 1 is good.
How,
So let's back it back.
how are we paying?
That,
What's the terms of the payment?
He needs 50% down,
50%.
Which is,
To start.
141 something.
Total cost $280,
Sorry,
is the total cost $280?
I think so.
No.
He gave me, he said
No.
it was 370. No, it's 370.
370. Oh, 141.
370.
Oh, that's right. Well, I based it on a proposal that was updated. I didn't have the updated thing. So half of 372. What? Maybe did you know? Michael very judiciously managed to get out of the street.
I just fire.
This is a,
Okay, so I'm sorry, when do we need to send the 30-day notice?
by April 1st.
And then, hoping that by May 1, we're operational very close up.
Yeah, I mean, basically, we're just need the main gates operation, right? The cameras can come afterwards, but I think we can do that in phases too, as far as the installation goes. Our main focus, as far as the initial get go, is the gates. Because right now, our gates aren't even functioning, so the one of the big things with AT&I is they're a one-stop shop, so they do the gates, the cameras, arms, everything, so they can actually service the gate arms as well, if they're not operational, they do all of that.
So that would cut out a budget item for Butler for electrical repair that to see it would be $200-300 a week to repair it. Gain right there. Small bit in there.
Okay,
Need a
so,
motion?
yeah, I'm gonna make a motion to send, Envera a 30-day notice to cancel. And that 30-day notice needs to be from the date that the finance committee reviews and approves they're good with the contract, the financials, the payment, terms and schedule, the line of credit details, and, any other version, basically, that once the finance committee feels comfortable that between the reserves, the line of credit, and the contract payment terms, that there is an ability to pay back and that there is financial viability for this project.
Yeah, I guess to look at the other end of that too, if we stick with Envera, they're forcing us to upgrade. I think it's about 20-some thousand, I believe, and it's not all the cameras, it's only a select few at some of the entrances. But the other side of that is they sent us a notification to have those upgraded, which will, I think, reduce what our monthly payment is by, I wanna say, is it half from what we're now?
Because we was half, the ATI's half.
No, I mean Envera, still sticking with Envera, we're at I think close to 6,000 right now with Envera. I think they're only reducing it like maybe $100 or so with Envera if we were upgrading to the cameras.
Are we confident we don't have to pay the upgrade charge? Because I read that letter that was signed, and it sounds like we owe them. We can blow them off, but
Well, I think that's where the dispute is coming into play for breach of contract.
is that, if we pay $370 plus, we have to pay another $220.
Nothing has been installed from that initial contract back in October.
Now, I understand they haven't done it, but we're obligated to do it, we're obligated to. Well, I'm not saying it's right, I'm saying,
Yeah.
the letter I read says that we're obligated to do it, we're obligated to schedule a time.
All of that from what I said from the previous, from the past 2 years I've been dealing with Vera, they have dropped the ball time after time. That installation was supposed to happen back in October 2022, yes. Never happened, and when I took over in end of 23, I want to say it was the end of 23, we were still having that issue. It was supposed, I was signed in October 23, it was supposed to happen in February of 24, and that never happened. Come March, April, May, we've had plenty of conversations with them, we've had video calls with them. They were gonna come out, give us a proposal, an update on additional cameras from what we were trying to do with AT&I and the other proposals that we had. Never came out, never gave us any information, and here we are now. I mean, there's documentation from the past 2 years, but here we are now sitting with no proposal and basically a letter saying we need to upgrade these cameras or else.
Because they did not do what they were supposed to do in the 2022 contract was signed. But the terms were, it doesn't come into effect until all the equipment and everything is installed. We are then, by operation of contract law, operating in a 2019 agreement. Okay, and paying that rate, it's a complicated mess. I think it's great to get rid of them, fight the bullet, you know.
I think that is a valid question, and I think that should come to the table when kind of reviewing all of this, and making sure that there's a level of comfort from the committee.
Is there a proposal on the table of how to pay for that, or is it the finance committee's job to figure it out?
Well, I think it's looking at the terms of the contract, the payment schedule, right, looking at the line of credit and looking at the reserves and saying, okay, if we took the cash to pay for this out of this bucket, how is that repaid? Whether it's repaying the reserves or repaying the line, I think the thought process is that the reduction in, I have to pull up the budget, so I'm not putting my foot in my mouth. But the reduction, did we in the budget at the current existing Vera monthly rate? I believe we did, which is.
Yes, we save about $36,000 a year.
Right,
Paying this.
right, which is not the equivalent of $372,000, but I think that's a portion of looking at how are we.
So I guess my question is the board or someone recommending how to pay for this, or is it, hey, we're buying this, figure out what to do?
I think it's a bit of both. We'd like to do
Which really
this.
means it's the latter.
We would like to do this. Okay.
But it appears that the downstroke's gonna be a lot of money, but can we save money on security on a monthly basis?
We say 36,000 a year.
Yeah, it's cut in half.
Assuming, we say 36,000 a year, assuming it's not a,
36,000 a year.
not an annual increase in the problem.
But I was trying to
to.
find the reserve study, because part of this was budgeted, I think, for 2026, right?
I believe that.
And now you're looking at,
I think it's 2026.
so now you're looking at, it's currently March, you're looking at signing contracts, what, no sooner than April, right?
Right.
You're not laying out any money. I mean, I would try to push back any outlay of cash as far back as possible. So I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility for the finance committee to really put their
So you're
minds
really
together
looking at-
and make
you
some
want
magic.
You would like, some.
Wrap it out of my head.
Figure out how to pay for this.
You got this, Larry.
I don't know, I don't know what those are.
Usually these things are done in a slightly different order, but
Well, this is not the first conversation, it's not the first time it's come up.
We're gonna have another painful conversation at the end of the year.
Yeah, definitely.
Because of reserve.
More.
the floor is to send Envera a 30-day notice of cancellation once the finance committee has reviewed the ATI contract, the line of credit paperwork with the increase, and the reserves, because that's gonna play into making sure we've got accurate financials, so that we know how much cash on hand we actually have. And that they have that level of comfort.
I'll second the motion. It's, yeah. Because we're gonna have to, just like the gym, just like the playground, we're gonna need a deposit up front to even start to get the equipment ordered and get in, so. But I don't see another option. I don't see another way of what else.
Okay, I'll second Jill Welch.
Savannah seconded.
Oh.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, I then will make a second motion to, once approved by legal, and once we've got the 30-day notice in place to Envera, once the ATI contract is approved by legal and the security committee is on board, I will make a motion to, at that time, sign the contract and sorry, there's a massive mosquito.
Yeah, they were all over me out there.
Massive steroids. Alright, so the motion, the second motion is to proceed with the ATI contract and deposit, upon 30-day notice to Envera with the attorney and safety and security committee's blessing.
I'll second.
Favor.
Just one question, that doesn't necessarily mean May 30th is the date. Could be
That's
May.
right.
Correct.
Is the date.
Yeah, I didn't put a date on there because I don't want to put a finance.
We don't
Yeah,
really
sorry.
have a date.
So,
It's
so
30
between
days
signing the notice and ATI,
Yeah.
ATI.
can we give them a date and say, can you install this thing in 30 days? How much time, what's their lead time, in other words, to install a system?
Yeah, I mean, what I have from them is that May 1st will be if we were to. Actuals here, so what,
3 to 4 and 4 to 6.
Yeah.
yes. Sorry,
3 to 4 for the software side, the cameras, and 4 to 6 for, or excuse me, 3 to 4 for the gates.
Yep.
And then 4 to 6 weeks for the software side, but they can run at the same time, yeah. So maybe 6 weeks maximum.
So 3 to 4 weeks is hardware, 4 to 6
It is
weeks
hardware.
is software, if those are working.
So they can do a transition in 30 days roughly, and given that we went through 20 without days,
We're good.
it doesn't really matter, right?
We're just gonna use common
It's not 6
sense.
months.
it's how many phone calls you get, if the gates aren't working, I guess, that's all it is.
So if we sign the contract, give them some notice, sign the contract and give Envera 30 days. And so if we sign the contract May 1st, we could be, they think they can probably ready it.
Yeah.
With the gates.
Yeah, we were shooting May 1st, but yeah, if we're delaying that to the end of May.
Well, yeah, just wanna
Well, yes,
So ideally, you'd like to have them starting May 1st. Which would mean we have to give
I'd
them.
like to have them operational.
We need to give them half or 370.
186.
I think he's saying that he wants them working from April to be operational May. Is that what you're
So we need to give them 180 grand.
And let's go first up. He's saying.
Right.
Saying
I don't
that he has
think
to
that's
work
what
on
it is.
April, I mean, the operational May.
I don't know if it's now, I know he was willing to work with us on the deposit side.
He told me half of the 3, whatever, which is 186.
Okay.
Half of
I
370.
I just looked at the proposal a little while ago, I gotta get people if I know when they can sit down.
I don't think we can, it's too much money to rush it. I get it that we want this done, but it's a matter of security.
Lucky and.
Yeah. It is giving us.
Somebody's gonna have to give us the details on the credit line, how it works, how much we've got on it, I mean, I have no idea what we've got.
Yeah, I think
You're
we
meeting with
get with
the-
Tony.
Interest rates.
Get with Tony.
Tony's all.
He personally guaranteed guarantee us.
Tony,
Don't use the
it's
word-
Tony's house,
Don't use the
yeah.
word personal guarantee.
Just kidding, words.
Yeah, just kidding.
You are.
Okay.
All right, we didn't do it all in favor, so
All
I put a motion on the
Yeah.
floor,
Second.
Savannah, second, all in favor? Aye.
In favor of that motion.
Okay, homeowner forum.
I will just say that irrigation is
I
back
didn't
up and
call
running.
you for a second.
What?
There he is.
No.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I just wanted to say that was just reading, holding outside, so irrigation is back up and running, the leak was repaired. He is going to kind of give me a heads up of where to look, maybe around after this meeting, to see that it is moving in its different locations. Then it should, if it stays on all night, it will stay primed, but we want Chris to just check by putting on, say, like zone 10, 12, or whatever around the tennis courts and stuff area in the morning.
Yeah.
So he can confirm it, and then we're good.
Awesome.
I have a question. I read that email, some great things done, some great people in this room, for the community. I hope everybody will like it. But why is it the residents are climbing water room, things of that nature? Isn't that Chris's job? To get that done, I mean, why did we do it? It's great that they did it, but I don't know why we did it.
You get so much excitement.
I don't wanna make a joke. It's a serious thing, and why we're doing this. Okay, as opposed to someone who's full-time getting paid, should be doing that kind of thing. There's a reason why we didn't do it.
The day that it was done, where Paula and I were, the bump was not primed, partially, we wanted to be aware of the priming process, because you want somebody who lives here, who's gonna be here for a while, to understand the actual priming of our pump. And it helped her and I both, being on the landscape committee, to be aware, knowledgeable in that regard. So that particular day, it was actually more of our choice to learn how to actually prime the pump. And now that I know it, Doug Reed, our irrigation.
Chris is not involved in the process because you guys wanted to be able to do it in case of emergency.
And
Came up.
And at the time, he was taking care of something else, so it actually worked out. So he has primed the pump, actually, I think multiple times, since it's been done. Yeah, so, and the flowering, the watering of the flowers, part of that problem is being able to carry a bunch of water all throughout the community to our seasonal flowers. We don't have a tank for that, or a sprayer that would do that, other than dumping water.
Is that during a weekend or a weekday?
Paul, we can-
So Chris was doing it during the week and then you did it the weekend, is that it?
He got the ball rolling on Friday.
That's a very political answer, thank you.
But yes, it was a prideful moment to see people step up and do their part as, homeowners,
Okay,
for
yes.
their.
Thank you for answering the question, I'm just saying, Chris is on my list. A lot of people in my area want to bring this to the board's attention, their feeling about this. I'll do it the proper time.
It's on Larry's mind.
Michael will work on that.
So, since I'm not a big fan of gotcha questions, I sent you guys a number of financial related questions. I was just, if we don't have answers, that's fine, but to say we don't know or we're still working on it, that's fine, but so maybe you could address, you want me to ask them or do you have?
I think we've answered some of them. I think we've done some of them, but go ahead.
Okay, so the first thing is, what's the financial, transition status of Castle, bank accounts? Do we have a credit card, and what do we got that we pay cash, so we can actually function as an organization? And that's not, I know it sounds hard, but that's not.
We have the bank accounts, credit card is in process.
Okay.
They came back to us today with 3 more requests for.
More paperwork.
More paperwork, which included, our bank statements included the last financials.
Yeah.
But, we probably have to send them around, which are not, we're still in draft form.
So we don't have a working
I
credit.
thought, yeah, you know you did.
How did we pay for the Zoom account?
Lola's gone.
That's not what we wanted to,
I know, but no, that's why I waited till the last minute, cause I dropped off that application a over a week ago, and I was waiting for the card in the mail. Instead, we get an email saying, please send us more paperwork. So, yeah, I was.
They don't do their own card, they third party doing it, so they pass everything on. They come back. and
So
say,
you think we'll have that resolved in a month or so?
I mean, they've got the application, they just need the
Yeah, they just
bank
want,
statements and a couple.
We had the same problem with Courtney, when she came to get the card, I don't know, like, we were going through a bunch of stuff. Michelle had to go down the bank, I had to go down the bank, someone had to put their personal, social security number down, it was
I already said,
a month.
yeah, it's been tedious, but we did get the petty cash replenished. We're good to go there. And as far as I know, all of the, Castle bank accounts are out of the picture, so.
Okay, so that leaves me a question too, have you received all our money from Castle?
And then in dispute.
That's,
I
I think that's the dispute.
So we believe there's some money, because what I heard, I don't know if it's true or not, is that they wrote a check, close the account, and the check bounced, right, so where's the money? Do we know?
I don't know, I thought the operating account opened up with that. Once the question was resolved, that's what my impression was going back when,
So I guess.
in January.
I'm just really, I'm trying to figure out, do we think we have all our money from Castle? The answer is.
I think that's a good question for Barbara, because she understands how the accounting can hide where the money is. So she said maybe there were large accruals that weren't posted in the.
I say I don't buy that. Accruals, cash is
Well-
cash is cash is cash is cash. It's what's in the bank account. So there's no hiding cash.
If they, what I'm trying to say is, there was a possibility that things that were on auto draft were getting paid, but they didn't post them in the financials.
That may be fine.
Yeah, so the money is not, the money's spent.
Well, I guess, do we believe that Castle has any of our money?
I don't think anybody believes that,
Okay. No, so you think Castle has given us all our money?
no. Yes,
Until you raised it, I thought that the money that was opening the operating account came from Castle.
yeah.
That's what I was,
What I heard, and maybe this is wrong, was that the Castle wrote us a check, and it was one of the ones that bounced.
that's correct.
That was
Okay,
correct.
so if a check bounces, where's the money? Where's the money? It's bounced, my understanding is it bounced because they closed the account, but if they close the account, you have to put the money somewhere. So where's the money?
I don't know if we have the answer to that.
Okay, so that's fine, it's fine, like, you know, at some point we need to know where's the money. So,
We've been asking.
so the next question is, have all the bounce checks been resolved,
I think so, yes.
Yes,
except the one to us?
Right.
So since that's out there, I said, do we know how much money is in dispute? And it sounds like we don't.
No, so look at the financials, it looks like there's, somewhere between 30.
Yeah,
I don't know that we can look at the financials, you have to look at cash data.
Well,
Cash has
we're
to
looking
be-
at the cash right now, there's just over 800,000, 834, 557, 39.
as of
this
today.
But we should be able to see the last cash statement from the Castle Bank account and see how much money was in it. Like, I literally just closed a bank account for a business, because we sold the last asset. And so I see, you know, they wrote a check, and I said, give me the two bank statements so I could see that all the money came out. And here in zero balance, here's a check that got written and it moved into my other account. Do we have that with Castle?
Alliance is not cooperating with anybody.
Yeah, so that's the thing, I mean, I'm not complaining, I think we need to know,
No, we don't have the.
did we have a final statement? We should be able to get a final statement that shows a zero balance and the last amount of money getting written to to us.
That's logically correct.
If we have not been able to resolve this, at what point do you call the state attorney general? Because if they're not giving us our money, it becomes to me a criminal action, not a civil action. But if we don't know that they haven't given us our money, then it's too early to do that. My guess is that they have, I just want proof that they.
Yeah, I mean, we need to to get our ducks in a row, so I guess between Michelle, Tony, Rebecca, and Finance Committee, when
Larry and Tony were planning a meeting with Barbara next week. So that's the perfect opportunity to find out how much we know. And
can we get these questions over to Barbara, so that when these questions that Larry sent? Okay, so that when y'all meet with Barbara,
Give me a difficult
She's
answer, Larry
got
wants, which is
what on?
a statement says zero balance in alliance.
Well,
Zero balance.
the last, I think that it's the last 2 or 3 bank statements from their account, we should see, you know, all the checks that they wrote, matching up with financials, and then it should show 0 with the 30,000 or whatever check they wrote us. It's supposed to be balanced, that's, I don't have any information, I'm just hearing things, so.
I don't think that could be too difficult to get.
they're not cooperating.
Then it's a lawyer letter to.
Well, no, that's what I'm wondering, is he, at some point, this is an attorney general issue.
No, property management.
Professional services,
So that's where we have to go to, the people that, it's their agent, Alliance is their agent. So if Castle says, well, it's their fault, no, they're the one who paid and used that bank. So the complaint is against Castle saying that they did not provide the last statement. And that can be done with a letter from a lawyer, if not, it goes to the Department of Professional Services, and they can get their
Is somebody on this, somebody like actively pursuing these things?
not that I'm aware of.
Okay, so we just need to have someone, probably Tony or you, I'm just making recommendations. But somebody needs to pursue these things. So my next question is, when will we start receiving financials from Advantage? We got the preliminary.
we got the
financials.
preliminary January one today.
And then the last one, and now I have one more that I just have. I guess I'll ask that first. Did we resolve the 1099s? I said, who's responsible for sending out 1099s? Because Doug Reed had told me he did not get his, which tells me the other vendors probably didn't either. And company taxes are due in 4 days.
Yeah, Advantage sends them out on behalf of the properties they manage.
Did they send them out on behalf of?
Well, no, because it would have been for last year.
Well, so that's the thing, I don't know how it works, like Castle stopped managing at the end of the year.
I'll ask them to say.
They're responsible.
Well, it's not, I would dispute that, right, I mean, if we have the books, we can send out the 1099, somebody has to send them out. Otherwise, we're in violation, we're in IRS violation.
Who provided Doug the 1099 the year before? Castle.
But
Larry's saying because
Here's-
it
let's say-
changed.
let's use this example, I think it's not necessarily perfect, but let's say you hire an accountant on staff, and you fire them at the end of the year. Who's gonna send out the 1099s? The new accountant. Right? So I don't know why, I mean, the 1099s are responsibility of us as an organization. I don't know why Castle should, if Castle's managing the books, as long as they manage the books properly, the numbers on the books, somebody could send them out afterwards, but someone needs to send them out. And I think that they're due January 31st. So I mean, my concern is that we, at least in the case of our vendors, I don't know if there's, what the penalties are, because I always send them out. So just a question, somebody needs to figure this out and send them out, or
Financials
contact our
from
vendor.
them before January.
Council,
Yeah,
we have a financial as of the end of the year.
no, I mean, remember we were waiting for the numbers and, at the beginning balances, all through January.
October, etc.
Yeah,
When we're saying October, you're talking about the cash balance.
yeah, this
There
part,
are entries in your financial statement from the cash position. Yeah, whether it's.
I'm just
We
wondering.
can't, we have independently taken a look at the balance, the bank statement and compared it to what Castle gives.
I just
We
was
don't
wondering
have
if we got the information we need to send out the 1099s, because we didn't have.
I don't know, I'm just raising it as an issue.
No, that's a good, I didn't think of it, you're right to think of it.
We must have it, or be able to get it, because if you don't have it, you're not gonna be able to do a budget next year, because you won't know exactly how much money you gave, which goes down to 1099. So all the vendors, all that.
I just think that
information is gonna be out
it
there.
needs to be the case of Doug Reed, somebody needs to get him a 1099 or just confirm the numbers. I mean, the 1099 is not as important as making sure numbers are right, and I think most businesses can file their taxes if you keep the records, but we're supposed to send it to vendors who we pay over $600. So, okay, last question, and this is just really, who's gonna be responsible for this? Our auditor has questions about the time Castle is managing books. Castle has not responded to us, or to them. I don't know how we get our 2023 audit done. So the question, how do we know if Castle, it would seem to me if Castle was managing the books at the time, they are responsible for responding to the audit, but I don't know what the law is.
There should be language in the contract with regards to outstanding financial items, just like there is X amount of days that they have from termination of contract to provide all physical copies of any paperwork and then any electronic copies of any financials or other paperwork. So there
Yeah, I would
should
think
be
that would
something
be
in
their
that.
responsibility. They might charge us for that, an hourly rate or something, but Monica, our auditor can't get the information she needs to finish the 2023 audit, so.
Yeah, someone
We're-
needs to
we're
look
getting
at
close to
the
being-
contract.
Right. We just need to, somebody needs to,
Look at the Castle contract.
Someone needs to look at the capital contract.
By state statute required.
Yeah, I mean, they're required to play ball, but again, like you said, whether it's.
Mike was also sent a letter to the CEO, we didn't get a response either, correct, until Rebecca from the regional.
Yeah, Rebecca responded and said that my letter was unkind, untrue, and you were a great
So
comment.
this is the game to play with us.
no, listen, I'm not saying it's anybody's fault. But we have, these are issues that I think are important, otherwise we're gonna be in 2026,
It's
2027, and still not have the 2023 audit, we'll be right back in the soup where we were. So we're like on the cusp of figuring this out. We just gotta understand, this transition is very difficult, and I'm frustrated Castle is not responding.
Do we know what it is that the auditor's looking for?
I'd really rather not ask those detailed questions.
Cause I mean, if it's around here, I've got all day.
I think she has issues with the beginning balances from 2023 and some of the entries that were made, that's all I have.
Why don't we simply call a lawyer and say, whose responsibility is 1099? Whose responsibility, who's supposed to get together and Andy documents, things of that nature? Because right now, everybody in this room is just saying, I think. this is-
Well, I think
We
before we
need to have
expend legal costs, we can look at the contract and see if it's black and white. As far as the 1099 goes, in line with what Larry said, my question earlier today was, well, who sent out the 1099s to everybody, every vendor outside of Doug? Because we have many vendors outside of Doug,
I'm
but
guessing that we didn't send them out at all.
that's my guess as well, but it's also strange that no other vendor has asked for it.
Nobody wants it.
But- Right. But,
People go, hey, put some documentation around the money.
right, but with that being said, Highlands Reserve is responsible for sending 1099s. It doesn't matter who's managing our books or our property, Highlands Reserve is responsible for sending out the 1099s. Typically, you can't send it on December 31st because you may have work performed on December 31st, so they can't be sent out until your books are closed, so you're gonna send them in January, so Castle likely didn't send them and shouldn't have been the ones to send them because they were not our accountant, didn't have access to our funds theoretically after January.
And I'm not blaming it, I'm just saying,
Right,
somebody needs to do it.
right.
It's not gonna be Castle.
It's not gonna be Castle, I think it's gotta be done from Advantage, and again, it's a call that needs to be made to Barbara. And then as far as audits, I would think, given the length of the Castle contract, that would fall under any financial obligations and should be in that contract. If it's vague or we're not sure what the stance is, then that's when we should turn it over to the attorney. But to expedite it and get some answers with self-help, we should look at the contract first.
I clearly don't have my 3 minutes, and I apologize.
We'll allow it. You get 3 minutes for every committee hour.
Not again.
Second violation.
I'll start parking on the street.
Yeah.
Hey, why don't you put a bulb here? We don't do anything about it.
Anyone else?
Dan, did you get to go? Oh, you went, you talked about that, your time's up.
No, we never, he said 30 seconds.
Did you yield your time?
I want to talk about engage, and enumerate and communications in general. I know we're still in a transitional phase here, but there was not a lot of communications around this board meeting. There was no agenda that went out. Pretty sure we send out agendas before board meetings, don't we? We might not do
I
that.
don't know that we have historically.
So if people come to a board meeting, they wouldn't know what the board meeting is about?
Not necessarily, I don't know that historically we've sent out agendas, but.
Whether you did or not, it's me, I'm the one that's supposed to do it. It wasn't settled Friday, which is when it should have gone out. So that's on me, but we were also, adjusting it during the day today, so.
Okay.
In the future, I'd be happy to put it on the news feed.
Yeah.
And at least people would know, they got the meeting reminder this afternoon, but, I maybe it was too little too late.
One of the things I found just playing around there, and by the way, this
It is the law, we are supposed to do that 48 hours.
So I know this is transitional where like I'm still figuring out some things inside of Enumerate and Engage, but there's a lot of cool features in there. Like you can actually like set auto reminders, like from 1 month out, 7 days out, 3, 2, 1, you name it. And so we can communicate more, and it actually is quite easy to do so. I think, we have quarterly board meetings, right? So do we know our meeting dates in advance for the year? Does that get planned?
We planned it at each meeting, so we just started talking about June 10th being the next date.
Cool, so we could literally get that up on the calendar.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of every single meeting, we say, before we adjourn, we say the next meeting.
Yeah, and so I'm just saying, this new platform we have, it's really all encompassing. I think it's
June
a useful
10th.
tool.
The only thing it won't do is email it.
June 19th is June.
You can't just send an email, even though the announcements we put out go out those emails, you can't just write an email to people. It's a serious flaw, if you ask me.
Wait, so everybody gets the announcements as an email, but you can't just send the general emails, what you're saying?
You can't send an email that doesn't show on the website. That's a better way of looking at it. So, we talked about sending out the weekly update as a text-based sort of process, so that people didn't have to log into the website to read it.
Right.
When they got the announcement,
Right.
it would be the weekly update.
Well, instead of that button that says read more type thing, got it, okay.
That's, I would love it to do e-blast, emails, but it doesn't.
Well, we used to do that.
Yeah.
We can't turn off the read more button feature. That seems like a quick
But then it-
programming solution.
How about we, look at this offline?
Yeah, anyways, the other part I wanted to say about this is that, I have volunteered to do a sort of walkthrough for homeowners. I haven't scheduled it, but I think it would be helpful. So I want to make sure that an email does go out that's short enough that people all get it, that there will be a link to that sort of walkthrough. Because we only had, I think last I saw, 100 participants out of everyone in our community actually using walkthrough of the actual platform, how to place a work order, how to access news
We had
feeds,
that
how to
discussion today.
see the
Doesn't
calendar.
manage not have that ability so that a resident is not presenting on that?
They have an IT guy, he does not do that. I've talked to him about
They
it.
don't, and they don't have training materials?
I guess,
I bet you.
Right.
Yeah, they just rolled out.
Well, we talked about that today,
I don't like
now
this.
you could report a violation, but you can't.
no, I would only speak at what I can access as a homeowner, not like back end stuff, because that wouldn't be beneficial anyways, but I can like walk through my.
I think there is a place that says, order request on Engage, there is. This afternoon, I went through it, I think there is one, but there's no place for comments.
Yeah.
You're gonna work on trying to change those.
Right, yeah,
You
yeah.
can change those around.
Look, if we can get them to do it, I'm perfectly fine with that, but I feel like it would be beneficial, it's the platform that we all use, and should be even more so, that's what I want to talk about.
They would get mileage from that. Maybe we get my rate to come out.
Oh, yeah,
Yes.
you're right.
Yeah, you know.
Yes, that was it.
Alright, so we will, confirm, but we're looking at June tenth at 7 p.m.
Okay, we'll confirm later. I have some issues that I'll bring up, the only meet, not too often, I know it's late, but whatever. I'll go quickly. Signs are down still, it says residents entry only, it hasn't been put up at this gate right over here, it's down. Signs, we used to have a residents only sign, whenever used to be there, it's gone, I don't know why it's not back up.
Are you pointing to the gate or pointing to?
Gate, at the gate.
Okay. I thought I just passed that when I came in.
I don't think so. Okay, light poles, there's many light poles that don't have lights that work, or they're very dull. It gets darker now, I would ask if you would please adjust your hours somehow, go around and figure out which light poles are not working. P&L will come out and do it, but they won't do it unless we ask them.
We've reported a bunch of them.
Okay, well, I think it should be done the whole system wide, okay? We taking care of Chris, like I mentioned. Okay, insurance review, that's a very important subject. Insurance coming up, it's a big number. And now we're having a committee take a look at our contract last year. No one did it, we slipped into a contract, we were stuck with increase without being able to switch it. Do we have that process going on?
Melissa looked at it, she said it was, oh, you don't know who that is, from Rick Carroll. She said it was too late to get any prices. I had somebody last week, we renewed on the summer. It
Did
came
we
up,
finance
we
it
couldn't get
or did
anybody.
we pay it?
It's finance, I think.
We let that insurance thing slide, it's not their fault, she's new here.
No, I'm just financing operating stuff, it's just.
It's going away money, that's the fault.
Well, we can pay it off.
We can pay it.
Yeah, we can pay it if you want.
There's no early payment penalty.
Probably not.
No, we can.
But in 2025, 26, our insurance policy has to be renewed by what date? And are we looking at other companies by getting another rate quote?
Maybe, let me say how it happened this year. I haven't put anything on the calendar because this happened 2 days ago. Remember when you asked me to get people to look at it and all we had was that
One guy back out.
one guy to back out. I would look for other people, but the description of policies, when I sent it out, I would not hear that. So when she actually sent the renewal proposal didn't come until, I wanna say midweek, last week. And then I knew exactly what policies we had and what the coverages were, so that these people could try to match them. And then it was too late to get, and I think she does it on purpose, she doesn't answer her phone or her email.
So it's too late this year, so we're renewed till when?
March of 2026.
We have plenty of time to look at 26. We can't do anything about it, correct?
Are we obligated on a business policy to keep it through term or if we cancel most insurance
Or is
policies?
it, you can usually cancel mid policies because of.
Although we'll still pursue it. I'll follow up with you. We'll do it, okay? List of vendors, I think this is an example of a problem we're having. We should have a main list a list of all vendors, when their contract is up and when we have to renew by. And I think that's something that Chastity can work on to say, all our main vendors, January one starts.
Yeah.
We have that list.
We started, Some of them have been around so long, we gotta look for the, conferences.
And I think we gotta put on the agenda in the future, please, by next time, is that sooner or later, we cannot kick the can down the road on irrigation. We're spending hundreds of $1,000s and putting Band-Aids on a system that's gonna just keep on breaking, which means up on our budget, whatever, it's just ridiculous. We need a new system. If it takes us 2 years, 3 years to do it, we do it one third, something like that. But I think we should form a committee. I don't mind being on it. Go out and look at irrigation companies and see how much it actually will cost to put a new system in that doesn't break when the wind blows, so to speak. So I would ask Madam Chairman that we form a committee to be able to look into this for the future, because I think it's totally necessary.
But I think we talked about that being an arm of the landscaping and irrigation.
Well, I don't know if that's another, something on your plate that's, on
But
the way
it's
down.
under landscaping and irrigation.
I will say that we have not been there is no plan, thoughts, inkling of replacing an irrigation system.
I think we should look into it.
And well, I would say in the reserve study, there's nothing like that. We've got $100,000.
That's smart to look, make some inquiries, we're gonna, Danny, I'll be in, maybe you, we'll look for companies and get some quotes. We got nothing but time to do that,
I
it has to be done, it has to be
Well, I don't
done.
think that the one thing we wanna do is fix the stuff that Danny and I and a number of other people have been going around, is get the grounding rods proper in the system first, because right now we don't have the proper protection on what we got.
That may be part of somebody coming out there, to see what could be done in pieces, whatever, we should.
Okay,
Anyway, I'll get with Danny and see if we can do that.
Okay, anything else?
I will make a motion to adjourn at 8:34.
So,
All in favor?
Yep.